Okay, well, today we'll be graphing equations, okay, and we're going to take it a couple steps further. Now, this is a quadratic equation. It's got x as second. So in the graph, we know it's going to form a U shape, okay? Sometimes it's right side up. This will be right side up because there's no negative in front of that x to the second term, okay? So, of course, the key to that, as we've discussed before, is finding where the graph turns, right there, the vertex point, okay? So, and I'm going to pick one point to the right and one point to the left, okay? This middle point is my vertex. Okay, so there's no parentheses in this, so it's in standard form. So A is 1, B is -8, C is 12. So to find the vertex, it's like half of the quadratic formula. It's the opposite of B divided by 2 times A. Okay, and we've discussed that formula many times in the unit when we did it. So the opposite of -8 is +8. And then 2 times 1 is 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay. So then you go one higher and one lower. Okay, or you go 3 and 5. It doesn't matter. So those are our inputs, and we know that's going to be the vertex on the inputs. Then I substitute those values in for the x variable. Okay. And then I get my y outputs. So I got 1, 5 to the second, minus 8 times 5, plus 12. I get an output of -3. So when x is 5, y is -3. And I substitute 4 in for the x. I get -4. And I substitute 3 in for the x. And I get -3. Okay. Now don't graph those yet, because we're going to define some other points. People taking advanced algebra will need to know how to do this. Okay. So now in addition to those points, I also want you to find the points where that U would cross the x-axis. That'd be this axis here. And what point that would cross the y-axis. That would be this one right here. Okay. Okay, so to find where it crosses the x-axis, there's a couple key points. First off, because x is to the second power, there's going to be 2 possible x-intercepts, okay? And we find those because on the x-axis, we're in the middle of the y-axis. Anywhere on the x-axis, you're in the middle of the y. So anywhere on the x-axis has a y of 0, so you're going to put y equals 0 right there. Now here's where the dirty work starts, okay? You're going to write the equation, don't put the parentheses in there, just write y equals 1x squared minus 8x plus 12. Then, and again, you're going to substitute 0 in for y, just put those in the coordinates right there. And now you're going to put 0 in for y in the equation. So 0 equals 1x squared minus 8x plus 12. Okay, I'm not a fan of having the 0 in front, so I'm going to bring it behind and put equals 0. Okay. Okay, so we got 2 answers we need to find. And since we have x second and x, I would suggest you try to factor first. Okay, factoring, that's when you put equals 0 down here somewhere, okay? And then you want to factor this expression into parentheses, okay? So there's 3 terms, it's a trinomial, so to get into factor form, the best way is to find the greatest common factor, and then use your trinomial t-chart that we've talked about, okay? Okay, x on the end, no. Negative in front, no. 1, 8, and 12, that would be 1. Okay, so out. Okay, so A, B, C. So find your AC product, okay? So I'm going to set up my parentheses down here, 4 just in case, you never know. Okay, the AC product, 1 times 12 is 12 positive, so that would be a match. Signs of the factors we put here have to match, because this times this has to be positive 12, so negative, negative. And they'll probably stay negative, negative, because I have to add them to the factors to -8. So 12 divided by 1 is 12, and that's -13. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and there's your -8. Okay? So you put your -2, your -6. Now A down here, is equal to 1x to the second power, okay? So we know we're going x times x, and since there's just a 1 in front of it, really that can only be divided by 1, so it'd be 1x minus 2, and that can only be divided by 1, so that would just stay 1x minus 6. So we've rewritten that in factored form, so we have x minus 2 times x minus 6, okay? And then you go f1, f2, factor 1, factor 2, and solve it. So x minus 2 could equal 0, x minus 6 could equal 0. So you plus 2, you get 2. Then you plus 6, you get 6, okay? So 2 and 6, okay? And so, okay, those are your x-intercepts, okay? Because when I set y equal to 0, I got two possible answers. So 2, 0, so that would be, so again, I'm going to wait to graph that. Now the y-intercept, there's only one y-intercept to any function, okay? Y-intercept would be where we cross the y-axis. Now this would mean that x would equal 0, okay? So I put 0 in for x. Now I don't need scratch paper and any of that crap here. I just replace the x's with 0, so y equals 1, parentheses 0 to the second, minus 8, parentheses 0, plus 12. Now I don't even need to punch this into a calculator, because 1 times 0 is 0, even if it's to the second power. 8 times 0 is 0, so y equals 12. Okay, now I'm ready to graph all these points, and then we're done. Now the x, I got 5, 4, 3, 2, 6, 0. I think I can go by 1s on the x. Now for the y's, I've got negative 3, negative 4, negative 3, 0, 0, and then 12. Well, 12 is the highest out of all these, so we have to go by 2's on this. Okay, so 5, negative 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, we're going by 2's on the y. 1, 2, you got to go by 2's with every point, okay, not just the 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 2, and then 3. Okay, 4, negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4. Okay. 3, negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Don't stop there. 2, 0. So you go right 2, and that's it. Okay. That should be on the x-axis. It's called the x-intercept. 6, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 0, 12. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. So I've found all the key points into the equation. So I just connect it. I don't need you to do the range. Okay. Okay. So next problem. Y equals 4x squared minus 16x minus 9. So again, the vertex. We've been finding the vertex for quite a long time with these parabolas. Okay. So A, B, C. So the x is the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. It's like the quadratic formula without the big square root. Okay, because it's like you're finding the halfway point instead of the zeros. Okay, so opposite of b is going to be 16. 2 times 4 is 8. 16 divided by 8 makes 2. Then I go 3 and 1. Then I substitute those in, same as I've always done. So 4, 3 to the second, minus 16, and then 3 minus 9, negative 21. Now I substitute 2 in for x. Okay, so up 2. Okay, negative 25. So I'm thinking this looks kind of weird, but I'll know it's right if I get the same thing there. Okay, negative 21. Okay. Now, we got other things to find here. Okay, x-intercepts. Well, first off, at the x-intercept, the y equals 0. At the y-intercept, the x equals 0. Now, since x is to the second power, there's got to be 2 of those. There's at most 2 possible places where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, y is 0. Okay. Now write out the equation. And then put 0 in for y. Okay, so just get rid of that y, put 0. I like to turn it around though. Okay, Okay, so now it's just an equation we have to solve. Find the values of x that make us equal to 0. Okay, so there's two answers. You want to try factoring first, okay? You want to try the trinomial factoring first, the GCF and the table. Okay, no x on the end, and I'll set up the equals 0 right there, okay? And I want to get some parentheses there. That's what factoring is, okay? Okay, so GCF's just going to be 1 out of that group, okay? So A, B, C. So 4 times -9 is -36. Okay, that's a mismatch then because it's negative. It's got to be a positive on one side and negative on the other. And we're trying to add the factors to get to -16. Okay. And then I'll put in my parentheses down here. Okay. Now A is 4x to the second power. Don't forget that. So you're not going to be able to this isn't going to end up as x down here. Okay. So 36 divided by 1 is 36. That's -35. Nope. 36 divided by 2 is 18. There's your -16 right there. Okay. So put in your +2, your -18. So it's going to be x times x. And then 4 goes in front of the x's, but we don't keep it that way. Okay. On your multiplication table, you'll see that 4 and 2 are in the row of 2. So it's going to be 2x plus 1. 4 and 18 are also in the row of 2, so we want to divide this by 2. That's 2x minus 9. Okay, so there's our two factors. So I've rewritten this expression up here as 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 9. This and this are equivalent. Okay, F1, F2, and we're going to have our x-intercepts. So 2x plus 1 equals 0, 2x minus 9 equals 0. So you're going to minus 1, 2 times x equals -1 divided by 2. You can just keep that -1/2, okay? You're like, how am I going to graph that? Oh, it's pretty easy. So 2 times x equals 9, divided by 2, divided by 2. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. You're not going to want to leave that 9 over 2. Actually, tell you what, if we have to graph these, just put them in decimal form. So that would be -0.5, okay? And then 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Because otherwise you're not going to know, some of you might not know where that's at on the graph. So those are your two x-intercepts, -0.5 and 4.5. That's the dirty work. Now we got to get the y-intercept. Okay, so we're setting the x at 0 here, okay? All right, so now we substitute 0 in for the x's. Well, 4 times 0 to the second, 0, 0, and y is -9, okay? Okay, so look at all your x's. I think we'll be able to go by 1s on the x-axis. Okay, now on the y's, I look through here. Well, I got to get to -25 is your most extreme, so going by 2s won't work. You'll have to go by 5s, okay? And if 5s don't work, go by 10s. Go by something easy to count by. Okay, so 3, -21. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, okay? 2, -25. So 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, okay? 1, -21, so 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 21. Okay, x-intercepts. How do you graph -0.5? Easy, you just go left halfway, okay? 4.5 would be right, because it's still going by 1s this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, halfway, okay? And then 0, -9. Now remember, you're going by 5s on this one, so -9 is 5, -5, and then somewhere in there, okay? All right, then it's a perfect parabola. Okay, next problem. y equals negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 1. Now, since I have a negative on the x second term, it's going to turn it upside down. You can expect that. Okay, so vertex, and then 1 point this way, 1 point that way. Okay. Okay, so A, B, C. Opposite of B divided by 2 times A. So the opposite of positive 8 is negative 8. On bottom I have 2 times negative 2. Well, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Then I divide those, I get 2. So 1 higher, 3, 1 lower, 1. So substitute those in for the x. Negative 2, 3 to the second, plus 8, and then 3 plus 1. You got 7, okay? Nine. Now I'm going to put 1 in. And I'm back to 7, okay? Okay, now the X-Intercepts. Remember, at the X-Intercept, the Y is 0. At the Y-Intercept, the X is 0. Now remember, the X-Intercept, there's at most 2 of them, okay? Because X is to the second power. Okay, so then Y is 0. Now substitute 0 in for Y, okay? So 0 equals, here I'll write it out first. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 1. Okay, so your Y is going to be 0, okay? Okay, and you got 3 terms, so that would be GCF and the table. Okay, so X on the end, no, negative, and oh, you have a negative in front, okay? And remember, the whole idea is you want to get the two answers for X in the equation, okay? We're starting off by trying to factor, okay? Okay, so no X on the end. We have a negative in the front, okay? And 2, 8, and 1 can just be divided by 1, okay? But it's negative 1, so it's worth doing if it's negative 1. So I'm going to place my negative 1 down here in the 0 product property, and then just proceed from there. I know it doesn't have an x, but I like to follow the standard procedure. So it's 2x a second, negative 8x, negative 1. Now we're going to do the ABC from here, okay? So find your AC product. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, okay? So that's a mismatch. Positive, negative. You're trying to add to negative 8. Well, 2 divided by 1 is 2. Well, that's negative 1. That's under 8. Okay? When I'm adding and it's under what I'm looking for, because like that's negative 1, I need negative 8. I can't go back. It only decreases. That means we can't factor this. Okay? So you're going to put QF, because now you're going to use the quadratic formula, because factoring will not work. Okay? So all this junk down here is worthless. We have to use a quadratic formula, because I can't find the 2 factors. It can't be factored. So I go from the top, A, B, C, just the original. You can use that too, it won't matter. I usually just go to the top. So opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. Okay, so the opposite of negative 1, 8 is 8. And then we're up here. Opposite of B would be negative 8. And then B, we just go with the original equation. You can go with that one too. It's not going to matter, okay? So B is 8, 4, A is negative 2, C is 1, A is negative 2. So you got negative 8. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, I'm going to set up my square root up there. I plug it in. So 8 to the second minus 4, negative 2, 1. I got 72. Okay. Now, if we have to find the intercepts of a graph, do not try to divide. First off, you don't have to do I, do you? No, you don't, because it's positive. So we're going to square root that into a decimal, which everybody should be doing because we have to put it on a graph. I don't want that radical crap on a graph. So 8.49. And then I get my two answers. So if I cannot find the numbers on the t-table, I'm going to the quadratic formula from the original. Okay. And again, the square roots, everybody should be approximating them as decimals, okay, not rewriting them as radicals, because I have to put this on a graph. That's not going to look good when I got square roots, okay. So negative 8 plus 8.49, click equals, divide by negative 4, negative 0.12, and then negative 8 minus 8.49, click equals, divide by negative 4, 4.12. Okay, so negative 0.12, 4.12. Of course, the y-intercept is pretty academic and easy to find. Okay, you just set your x to 0, which I can just do from right here. I can just put zeros in for the x's, because now I'm solving for the y, but since y is by itself, easy to solve for. So out, and y equals 1. Okay. Okay, so my x's, I'm good to go by 1s on the x. Now on the y-axis, I got to get to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I can do that. So I can go by 1s on the y as well. So 3, 7, start plotting. 2, 9, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 7. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I want to see some x-intercepts. Negative 0.12, well, you know you're going left, and it's not even halfway, okay? Just right there, really close to it. Okay, 4.120, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just kind of closer to 4 than it is to 5, and then 0, 1, okay, so 0, 1, okay, and there's my parabola. Negative, because the A went down. Okay, last one, you only have 2 problems to do, okay. Y equals x to the second power plus 2x plus 9, vertex. Let's get that quick, please, okay. That should be easy to find. It's not A, none of these are HK, okay. So opposite of B divided by 2 times A. This point in the middle is a vertex. This just finds a point right and left. So opposite of B, negative 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Then you add 1, you're at 0. And you subtract 1, you're at negative 2. Okay. Okay, so I go 1 parentheses 0 to the second plus 2 times 0 plus 9. I got 9. And I have to reset the calculator now. 8, okay, and then negative 2. I'm at 9, okay. All right, x-intercepts, of course, the y equals 0. Remember, there's at most possible 2 x-intercepts on if x is to the second power. Now, if x wasn't to the second power, there'd only be one of them, okay, because it'd be a straight line. Okay, so set your y's at 0, and in the equation, 1x second plus 2x plus 9. Okay, so y is 0. So then you put equals 0. Okay, so again, we're trying to find the 2 answers for x. Okay. And we'll start by trying to factor with the zero product property. So GCF and table. Okay. So x on the end, nope. This time we don't have a negative in front, so 1. If it's just regular 1, don't do it. The AC product, 1 times 9 is 9, positive, okay? That's a match. Here's the problem, though. It has to add to positive 2, okay? Well, 9 divided by 1 is 9, and that's negative 10, okay? So that isn't possible. 9 divided by 2 is a decimal. 9 divided by 3 is 3. That's negative 6. And that's really the only two factors that are possible for 9. I mean, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 isn't going to work, okay? So I can't find it, okay? So we're going to quadratic formula, okay? So opposite of b, plus or minus d square root b squared minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a over 2a. So opposite of b is negative 2. 4a is 1, c is 9, and then a is 1. Okay. Alright, so I set up my plus minus. We got negative 2. I'm going to find 2 times 1 is 2. I'm going to find that square root. Okay, I got a negative. Well, I'm sorry, but a negative square root, that's where you got to poke the I out. And if I have to graph it, I put this thing away. You can't graph an I. I is an imaginary number. It's not on a graph. So when you poke that I out, there are no X-intercepts. Remember, I didn't say there's always 2. I said there's at most 2. Okay? So there is no X-intercepts. There's always a Y-intercept, though. Has to be. X equals 0. Okay? So I'm going to replace the x's with 0. So y equals 1, 0 to the second, plus 2 times 0 plus 9. Y would equal 9. Okay, so I'm not there are no x-intercepts. They don't exist, and you'll see why when I graph it. So I think I can make it by 1s on x with all these, and I can make it by 1s on y. So 0, 9. Okay, and also I kind of knew I had that y-intercept just from the 3 coordinate points. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you kind of had your y, you stumbled into your y-intercept from the 3 coordinates. So left one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we already had the 0, 9. Well, that would explain why I'm getting i's when I find the x-intercept, because it never crosses the x-axis. Thank you and good night.